All right. Hey. We're back with another Tatt Chat episode. We got a good friend here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us, obviously, your name, where you work, how long you've been working, and what style of tattooing you like to do.
All right. My name's Candice Bauman. I work locally here in Marietta at Envision Tattoo, and I've been tattooing, it'll be 15 years this summer. As far as tattoo styles go, obviously traditional is my favorite, but I won't turn down any style of tattoo except for maybe color realism. So
Cool. Yeah, you pick it, we stick it, right? Kind of vibe. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, 15. That's kind of that era.
the people's tattooer. That's,
You gotta be. I mean, I feel like being a specialist is kind of running its course at this point. It's still important. People will still search you out for what you're good at or what you're known for. But
yeah, I was always told, why give that money to somebody else? Like,
exactly.
as a street shop worker. So.
Yep. It's making a resurgence,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel, like specialization is kind of, it's still there, but I feel like being a broad tattooer is important, again, and more important than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I also feel like private studios are kind of going the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I just heard of a private studio down the street that now takes walk-ins, and I was like, oh, surprise, you ran out of friends and family to tattoo.
Well, the COVID money dried up, so.
That as well. Exactly. Cool. So, we'll get a lot to get into, but first I always like to ask people, how did you experience tattooing the first time? Like, how did tattooing come into your life? Like, was it mom, dad, an uncle, a neighbor? Like, who's your first, or what is your first memory of a tattoo?
It was definitely my great uncle, Dave. He played Santa Claus at Christmas time, but he was in the Navy, so he was the only one in my family that had tattoos, and I just loved it. It was so awesome. And
Santa had a tat.
Yeah, Santa with tats, and
Killer.
I used to draw myself as a kid. I'm sure a lot of us did, and
right.
And
okay.
I don't know. Love tattoos from the very get-go. I think I got my first tattoo when I was, 14, maybe 12. I don't know. There was no limits on age when, back then. My dad took me to get my first tattoo.
Okay.
Still got
cool.
it. It was almost a Taz, but I got a dolphin instead.
Hey, that era for sure. Yeah, I know the era you're talking about. Absolutely. That's rad. Dad took you. That's cool. Yeah, a lot of people, parents grow up with, don't get a tattoo, and then they need to borrow some money, and they're like, oh, maybe this tattooing thing, because now parents just think all their kids should be, my kid draws, well, they should be a tattooer.
Yeah.
Not really, but whatever. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. So where are you from originally? Like what?
I grew up in Michigan.
Context, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Metro Detroit area, so just outside of Detroit.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And came out to California right after I graduated high school, so I moved out here with 2 suitcases and.
All right. Yeah, that was everybody who wanted to do something more than the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest as
really?
well.
Okay.
California was it, man.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Originally from Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Minnesota, Red Wing.
Okay.
Where they make the work boots, Red Wing shoes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was the only thing. That and the Rydell Skate Factory.
Yeah. I grew up in Royal Oak, where Dr. Jack Kevorkian was from.
Yeah. The greater Detroit area, there's a lot of infamous people from that area, for sure, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Although it seems like they're kind of changing their tune on him now. I think some areas have made assisted suicide legal. Yeah,
they're making it really easy now.
The dude who invented Leap Pad, Leapfrog, whatever, just did it not too long ago. He found out he had Alzheimer's. And he's like, yeah, that's it. I gotta go. See you later.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the guy was just ahead of his time. He was a maverick.
Yeah. Cool story about him. He actually used to have a art gallery.
Yeah,
and,
he was a prolific artist.
Yeah, he was a really amazing artist.
Scary stuff, but I mean,
Yeah, I was at a National Coney Island, if I don't know if you're from Michigan, where that place is.
Coney dogs.
But he was eating there with a group of friends, and I had overheard that one of them ordered some chili cheese fries, and he said, well, if that won't kill you, I don't know it will.
I
know.
That's great.
Jokes.
Yeah, no, well, and dude, chili cheese. I mean, talk about a Midwest thing.
Oh yeah.
Chili cheese fries for sure. Yeah. Hot dogs with chili and cheese, fries covered in. It's like animal style in California.
Pretty much.
It's like our version. Yeah,
that's why everyone's humongous.
A little overweight. Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, yeah. Right on, Midwest. Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up looking at skateboarding, so. Like, skateboarding came into my life real early, like 10 years old. And, like, yeah, so all of a sudden you look at magazines. All magazines are from here.
Yeah.
You know, all the cool bands are from here that they talk about. Everything that was cool was from California.
Yeah.
Everything. So it was like, yeah, a lot of us moved, or the dream was to move here. I went to Hawaii first and then came here afterwards. Sick. But, you know, basically the same thing. Like, get out of the Midwest, run.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, now everybody's moving there. Like, oh, we got to get away from all this urban sprawl out here and these politics. And land is cheap.
Yeah, cheap. Yeah,
houses are cheap. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you remember there was houses back when we were kids, $80,000 to get you a nice house. Now it barely buys you a truck.
Yeah, I mean, for a minute you could still buy a house in Detroit for like $8 or $9 grand.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Put it on a credit card.
Serious. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. You probably get cheaper interest through the bank, but yeah, for sure. Unreal. So 15 years. Okay, so did you moved, you said as soon as you graduated, you moved here. So all your tattoo career is like out here then? Like, where did you start?
Yeah, out here. So I came out here for school and got a couple of degrees.
Cool.
I'll make a long story short.
Oh, make it long.
Make it long.
Yeah, as long as you want to.
I went to USC. I got a BA in psychology.
Okay.
I started taking some art classes. I've always done art, but took some art classes there. Didn't really want to get into that field, so I don't know. I worked for a little bit and got into interior design, hotel casino design. I did that for a while.
Okay.
And then the big crash of 2008, like the whole building industry just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
So I found myself bartending again and
fun.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. I mean, you make money, but you know, it's
I
rough life.
I couldn't even get a job working for free. That's how hard it was then. So
yeah.
But managed to get a few shifts at a bar. I don't know. One of the girls I worked with before at a different bar before I, got my design degree and stuff. Her husband at the time had owned a tattoo shop, and actually I had done a tattoo on a friend. Actually, I was drunk and he tattooed me. I got sweet tattooed on my knee. And then, that was the plan. That was the plan. And then I ended up tattooing him as well because that was our agreement.
Yeah.
I wasn't drunk, but I had tattooed him at another time. And it turned out like pretty decent. And word kind of got around at the bar. And one of the girls I work with, her husband, like I was saying, had owned a tattoo shop at the time. And she's like, oh, you should ask John. He's been wanting to have a girl work in the shop. And I was like, okay, yeah. I wasn't expecting to get an apprenticeship, and I called him and literally started like that next week, and that's kind of where that began.
All right.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So where was that? Like, where were you in the area? Here?
Orange County. That was Saints and Sinners Tattoo in Garden Grove off of Garden Grove Boulevard. So he opened that in 2006, I believe, and he just sold it. Unfortunately, to a non-tattooer, and so
the only ones who think there's any money left in this whole business is being a shop owner.
So that's a bummer, but I think he completely gutted it and changed the name and all that stuff. So.
I mean, honestly, somebody offered enough, everyone's got a price, right?
Yeah.
Especially in this economy.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad economies, 2008, So I got lucky. I was in Hawaii in 2008. So the war industry was, I was close to Schofield Barracks. There's nothing but military on Oahu. It's just saturated. Yeah. So, the locals were hurting. The construction kids were hurting. But I had tourism and military just through the roof, you know, like I totally skipped that whole one.
That's nice.
Yeah, I bet being able to avoid it was quite, because everybody I talked to that wasn't in a place like that where the economy was just unaffected in a way, said it sucked. Like, you know, I mean, everybody's comparing right now to that time. And I'm like, that time was really good for me. The time that sucked for me was 9/11. I was just starting 2001. April 27th was my start date. That was my first tattoo ever. So by the time 9/11 happened, I was not doing free tats anymore. I was doing like half price tats. I was making a ton of money because everybody was loving half price tats. And back then we were the only shop for 50 miles in any direction. So yeah, things were a little different. But then all of a sudden 9/11 happened. And I think from September till December, I maybe tattooed a handful of times, maybe 5 tats that entire time.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about, oh shit. Like, yeah, I almost quit. I almost joined the military. I almost did a bunch of shit. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, maybe my mom was right. This isn't a real job. Because I have a degrry as well in computers. Yeah. Okay. So,
I've had those oh shit moments. Maybe I'll join the military.
Right? Honestly, I don't feel like you're a real tattooer unless you've contemplated leaving. Every real tattooer I know that's worth their salt in tattooing has kind of gone through that, like, oh, fuck. Like, am I gonna just hold fast and eat ramen and just eat shit sandwiches every day, or am I gonna quit? You know, like, and I've always joked that the tat gods, you know, if you really are on the right side of things with them, they provide. They maybe show up a month late, but
they will.
Yeah,
it's crazy how that works.
Yeah, tattooing takes care of those who take care of it. I feel like you know, really at the end. Although I mean, there's a lot of things now. There's social media and there's all these other things you have to be really good at. It's not just I'm good at tattooing. They'll come. Feel the dreams moments are over in tattooing. Now it's about it's about this. It's about getting on a camera. It's about talking. It's about introducing yourself. It's about, you know,
getting out into the public and meeting people one-on-one.
That too. Yeah. A lot of this like COVID tattooer generation is like super socially awkward. So yeah.
So
like, how do I find clients? I'm like, talk to the person you bought food from. Where do you go grocery shopping? Where do you go to the mall? Like, bring cards with you. Show your work. Say, hey, you got some tattoos. Where do you get them? You know, people just aren't used to that side of the hustle. I think is kind of coming back too. I feel like a lot of little old school things are kind of slowly creeping their way back in. Like we're going through a full revolution where we're kind of getting back to some of that. But then you throw social media and understanding algorithms and basically understanding how to market yourself. I feel like tattooers go on Instagram and Facebook and places like that, and they kind of just look for likes and validation from other tattooers instead of trying to find new clients. Like, hey, are you looking for Japanese tattoos? Are you looking for a fine line? They're not doing that. They're like, hey, tattooers, am I good? Do you like my stuff? Am I in the club still? So, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of changes, but there's a lot of things that are still kind of the same and kind of coming back too. So, it gives me hope.
Yeah.
That the future of tattooing is good.
Yeah. So while I was apprenticing, I had owned a condo in downtown Long Beach, and obviously I lost my job, but it kind of worked out. I was squatting in my own house for, about a year and a half or whatever.
Cool. And, California renters' rights. Yeah, you kind of get a lot of,
So it kind of worked out. So I don't know. I mean, it was a crazy time for me. Filed bankruptcy, all that bullshit. And,
full on.
But really, I had no other choice. I had to make tattooing work because I couldn't get a job anywhere.
A real job. Air quotes.
Yeah.
I got a degree and all this. So what was the degree? You just kind of thought psychology was going to be it, and then you got through it, and you were like, oh, Jesus, I don't want to do this. Or
I mean, coming out of high school, do you really even know what you want to be when you grow up? So I just knew that I liked that, has some family members with mental illness. I thought, maybe I could understand them a little bit more. Whatever. I saw, the brochure I'd never been out to California, but I saw the brochure, palm trees.
Looks amazing.
Looks awesome. Let's go. So
that's
kind of how that happened.
It's like when you drive by the desert out here and they've got that big billboard and it says, blah, 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 property for sale. And it's like this oasis of amazing. And the picture just looks so amazing. And the billboard, and you literally look past it and it does not look at all It's like the complete opposite. It's like a deserted wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got bum camps everywhere.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. It's funny how they sell you on these things. This is what it could be like in your mind. Psychology's cool. I almost went into it too, and then I realized how much money and schooling and time and to really serious. It's another whole school. It's like, okay, so I went to school for all these years, and I'm going to literally almost have to go to school for the same amount of time. I'm going to be not a young adult anymore. I'm going to not be middle-aged, but I'll be like right in that gap in between. And then I'm going to be like a couple houses in debt. Okay, no, that doesn't sound fun to me. Like I like it, but I don't like it that much. For sure. And, there's only so many jobs. It's like people are like, well, you're artistic, right? Like, I was drawing, but like, what do you do with that? I got a degree. Okay, well, what can you do? I can be a professor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Banksy doesn't have a degree. None of these people who actually make it in the art world and like do things in art have a degree ever. They're always like the rule breakers. The ones that get the degrees are like, oh yeah. And it's like, okay, you're going to be a high school art teacher or you're going to be a college professor. Like, both suck ass. Like you get overworked, underappreciated, definitely underpaid. If you're in high school, you're definitely underfunded because the football team needs new helmets and a new field. And, like we've all been through that. Like, especially in the Midwest where like sports are everything and art and music just get shat on. It's like,
Yeah, I never thought it would be able to make a career out of it. And, so everything I did was creative jobs.
Right. Well, the interior design thing, that's a smart path. There's a few tattooers. Like I think Jess Yen came from that world.
Okay.
Yeah. He was, designer.
Yeah. I love doing that stuff. Like, I was, like to do the renderings, like the building renderings and CAD design, all that stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Still drawing, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. A little more rigid, a little more rules, but hey, it's still design. I mean, like we need that's what AI isn't going to be able to really get yet. I think we'll be dead or almost dead. We'll wish we were dead. We'll wish Jack was on our side. Feed us some chili cheese fries. But by the time AI can really learn how to replace those kind of jobs. Right now, to me, it's just another tool. But I always like to ask people like AI, like, are you pro or are you anti? Like, it's one of the hot topics in our world right now.
I love ChatGPT. Like, it's like my bestie. Like, why not?
I agree. My wife also talks about it too. She's like, it's my best friend right now.
I mean, I love to ask questions. I don't really use it much for art or anything.
Right. But if you need to write SEO or like, you want to make your Instagram post more interesting, it's a good starting point. Obviously, you need to change some things because you don't want to straight copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's a good jumping off point. And then also it's a great way to learn. I mean, it does have access to all the knowledge of the world at this point.
Yeah, I love random facts. So
right? Yeah. It's cool. I feel like it's a good tool for like people who do realism. I mean, obviously you said your focus is more American traditional. So like all the reference materials there. Yeah. Tweak it how you will. But, there's only so many photos of lions, what I mean, on Google's first 5 pages. So I feel like it's a great tool for those people right now.
Well, it's most of those people don't really draw anyway. So.
No, they're photocopy machines.
Trace masters.
For sure, yeah. Well, as I feel like, honestly, every tattooer should be. I feel like it starts with tracing and then you start to add your own later. It's like the Japanese method of like, you should be able to replicate your master completely. It should be indiscernible whether they did it or you did it. And then you're allowed the freedom to change things just slightly.
Yeah, I feel like I learned opposite. So I learned how to draw from memory without really referencing.
Okay.
First, so I didn't trace
Okay.
I was just drawing.
Cool.
That's how he taught me.
Yeah, no,
that's cool. So.
Everyone's. There's no right way.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about tattooing is because there are kind of. Obviously, a clean line's a clean line that lasts forever. Yeah. Color's either solid or not. Gradients are either smooth or not. But beyond that, like how you get there is totally up to you.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about it. I feel like that's what attracts the misfits that become tattooers and stay tattooers. Is there really is very little rules. There's that's the hardest part about being a mentor to somebody is like, this is my way, but you might find your own way, and you have to explain that to those people when you're teaching them. Like, the only real barometer of good and bad is like 10 years from now, what does it look like? You know, is it still a nice tattoo? Is it, you know, does it still fit them? You know, I mean, there's a few things, obviously, you know, you want to give people adult tattoos, you know, the arrow snake pit is over. You know, people come in, oh, you just do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get famous for 15 seconds on the internet and catch a few new followers because I'm putting a dick fucking shooting unicorns and rainbows out. Like, you know, luckily that's kind of over a bit, but, yeah, you know, like it's, tattooing is changing a lot. It's interesting and it's a safe haven for everybody. I feel like, you know, if you're artistic, you can find your way in it, you know? Yeah. There's no right or real wrong way to do it. You know?
I love it. I mean, there's not like one style or artist that I love or hate. I think, you know, just, it's all like really cool. So all the new kids doing all the folky traditional stuff. I love it. I don't know. Super cool. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fun for sure.
Yeah.
It's cool because what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
It definitely, it's the same as like fashion right now. Girls are wearing baggy kind of pants. Docs are back. Birkenstocks are back. I'm like, dude, is it the 90s, bro? Where's Nirvana? Like,
where's Von Dutch hats?
Well, Ed Hardy's back again. I don't know how many tattoo cons you've been to, but I've seen a shit ton of Ed Hardy gear again. I'm like, wow, they really reinvented the brand again. I mean, they didn't reinvent shit. It looks exactly like it did, but yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. It's and tattooing's much the same. Things go around and come around, you know. I mean, that's the funny part. When realism kind of hit this last time, people were like, oh, and I'm like, they tried that 20 years ago, you know, and 20 years before that, they were, you know, kind of messing with it. And, you know, I mean, if you go back and you really are a student of the history of tattooing, you know, you go to Tattoo Time, you know, you'll see there's they drew a line across the back. That's artsy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, they've been trying artsy tattoos for like almost 100 years, you know, like that's not a new concept.
Yeah, tribal blackout work, that's not a new concept.
Not at all, yeah. I mean, Leo and those guys were all about the big bars and the negative spaces, kind of making the design. Like the dude from Rage Against the Machine, the bass player, had that reverse, like, Celtic stuff.
Yeah.
3 decades ago now. God, they're like the oldies channel at this point. Yeah, it's funny. You put on that music and you're like, oh yeah, okay, boomer. Yeah, you know, that's kind of what it feels like. You know, yeah, we're getting to that point. You know, yeah, it's fun though. It's cool. It's cool getting that perspective. I feel like one of the biggest things now is to be the people that we looked up to when we first came into tattooing and give something back to them, you know, like, hey kid, you know, do this, don't do that, you know, like.
I'm ready for like 90s, like neo-trad to come back, dude.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be fun to see the cartoon stuff come back too, the Ciavaros and the Litwalks and the Capio Banco kind of look, but a new version, like a more, you know, could add more realism to it because you can blend better and, you know, you can do tattoos that don't tear, you know, I mean, obviously rotaries and, you know, just needle technology is a little better. You know, we're not making them ourselves in a hurry, all hungover. Shit, what do you need? Okay, I'm going to go make 3 needles real quick for this tattoo, you know.
Worst needles I've ever used are the ones I've made.
Yeah. I've made some pretty good ones, but I went through a lot of years of making needles too. I think probably the first 7 to 8 years of my tattoo career was all my own equipment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I had to, and it's kind of part of why when I look back at my old stuff, I'm like, oh God, that was horrible. And it's like, well, yeah, the quality, you know, like, it depends on what day, you know, like, was I in a good needle making day mood that day or not?
Well, even inks, since I've started, have come a long way. So that's a huge part of it.
Well, because that's the only, I mean, I joke with people, I'm like, all these other things don't matter. The most important component to a tattoo is the pigment you use. Because it's the only part that's still there. You know, what needle? It doesn't matter. It's in there, right? Yeah. Now it's like, how does that age? How does it deal with the sun? How does it deal with your body constantly attacking it, trying to break it down for 20 years? You know? Oh, I gained a bunch of weight. Oh, I lost a bunch of weight. You know, like all these things that happen to it. Like, how does that perform? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that stays. The rest of it, wow. What machine did you use? Doesn't matter. How's it look? You know, and the ink's the only component there. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, technology for sure has advanced.
Yeah.
It's made things easier. I mean, obviously that's why these kids are 2 years into tattooing and they're just killing it already. And
Yeah,
you're like,
crazy.
how are you so good? It took me 10 years to get that good. And then you go, oh, because you didn't have to make needles. You have this thing in your pocket that gives you access to everything. You don't have to wait for the new magazine to come out, go grab it from Barnes & Noble or whoever sold magazines at the time of tattooing. And, wait to see what it was they wanted to show you. Because let's be honest, all the best tattooers in the world didn't make it into the magazines. You kind of had to play by their rules, I mean, there was gatekeepers, and that's gone now. As much as kids complain, oh, gatekeeping, it's like, no, kid, we're just trying to give you a decent apprenticeship. We're not trying to gatekeep anything. I just don't want you to be a piece of shit loser.
Yeah, and it's a tough business. So, I mean, if you can't survive a little bit of pressure on you, like it's you're not going to make it through tattooing because you're going to have ups and downs and.
Well, I always explain that, if you think I'm mean, wait till a client's, you tattoo a daughter and their dad comes in and he's like a bike club guy or just any dude that's like a little rough around the edges from 30 years ago. And he's pretty pissed about what you did to his daughter. How's that? You think I'm mean and you think this is pressure? Like, you haven't seen pressure, like that still happens. Those guys still exist. That world is still there. Yeah. Like the pressure of, oh no, I fucked up, or oh, I misspelled something. Like, how are you going to deal with that? Like, you think having to scrub the floor sucks,
Yeah, and you're gonna fuck up. So
dude, we all do. Like, if there's anything you can explain to tattooers out there, it's like you're gonna tip shade a fucking nautical store because you accidentally did the wrong side, or you're gonna do believe is gonna be live because the I and E are kind of difficult because maybe you're dyslexic, or like it's gonna happen. And then really what cuts the mustard is, what do you do about it? How do you deal with those situations? How do you make it right by your client? How do you go home and sleep at night? Like, that's the real pressure of tattooing, other than the constant fight against 1,000 other people in your town to get noticed, which is pressure in itself. And then I feel like, what does this have to do with tattooing? And I'm like, well, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you can't thoroughly clean something, you're probably not going to thoroughly apply yourself to the tattoo process either.
You can't keep your own ass clean, dude. How are you going to keep your station clean?
Right. Exactly. Yep. So there are important things. It's not gatekeeping. It's just making sure, you got to craft the next generation. You've got to teach them right. You got to instill some things in them. Obviously, they got to learn the hard way on their own. We all did. It's part of the process of being a tattooer of a decade or more. You start looking back, like we were talking about earlier before we turned this on, about, oh God, that turned out terrible. You see it 5-10 years later and you're like, whoopsie, gotta change this a little bit. And, that's definitely just part of the process. But yeah, I mean, the access to information is infinite now, and it's beneficial. For sure. I mean, I feel like the overall quality of tattoos that I see walking on the street now are better than they were 20 years ago. For sure. Yeah. Well, so, it's a net benefit, but it does have drawbacks. Just like, TV. Everybody's, TV ruined tattooing. I'm like, kind of, but not really. It educated.
One, more people want tattoos.
It made more people want tattoos. B, it made them kind of aware of the fact that they needed an idea. If they didn't want to just come in and that one, they kind of had to come in with I want this. And, it made them, consultations really weren't a thing before TV. For at least the world of tattooing I was in, the places and where it was, you'd come in, you'd be like, oh, I don't know. And you'd start flipping through racks and I want this right here. Okay, cool, sick, let's go.
I kind of want it to be like that again, but.
Traditional shops still kind of, push that vibe. Obviously, you work in one, there's a lot of stuff to see on the walls. And, nowadays you got just access. There's books, there's digital, people come in with their phone and 15 saved pictures and then tell you about everything they want. So I feel like it made people more prepared for the process of getting a tattoo. It also made people less scared too, because I started tattooing. I started my apprenticeship in '99. There was no Google, there was no YouTube, there was no. So dad would just tell his daughter, like, it's gonna hurt really bad, you're gonna bleed everywhere, and you might die. And they kind of half believe their dad, so they'd come in so fucking nervous. Like, I haven't had a person pass out in forever. knock on wood. It's been a really long time. And I think it's really just because people are more prepared now. They know there's more information for clients as well as for tattooers. Like the access is there. And I feel like that's been one of the benefits, one of the huge ones. I mean, granted, it created more tattooers, but it created more clients. You know, I feel like social media is actually worse for tattooing than TV was. Like,
yeah, it's got it good and bad. So
For
I mean,
sure.
if we didn't have social media, then half the people probably wouldn't know who we are anyway. So
yeah. I mean, we might do quite a few less tattoos.
yeah,
It is funny how people complain about it, and it's a free service. You know, it's like, yeah, you're getting free advertising. It's like, boo-hoo. Figure it out, kid. You know, like get with the times, or you know, get left behind. Speaking of which, I always like to ask people. So we did the AI thing. You obviously don't use it for art, but you like it, you know, just in general as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So tools, machines or pens, like rotaries. Do you use coils or rotaries or both, and why?
Both actually. I mean, I love my coils for traditional tattooing, but I mean, I do all sorts of styles. So the fine line, like the pepper shading, all that stuff is, you know, much better with a pen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I hate that I use it, but you know, it's a tool, you know, and if I can do a tattoo better with a different tool, then I'm all for it. But I just got a Dan Cuban shader, so I like that. That's really cool. So
I still have yet to use the Dan Cuban. Everybody says it'll change your life, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Life changing? I don't know, but I like it. Yeah. It's cool. It's lightweight, so that's nice for our old hands.
You know, knock on wood again. I still have no problems there. Like I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
I've I don't know. I guess I've just been lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I tattoo a lot. I got a money bump. It's getting bigger. It's getting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you got a good one. Hell yeah. Yeah, mine's been recently growing. I've been back on the metal tubes pretty hard. So, really, at the end of the day, it's tools. Yeah, I mean, you know, your best tool for the job, right? You know, I mean, if this wrench sort of works, but this one works better, why would you choose one over the other? To me, I feel like the biggest issue is always just a matter of who gets your money. You know, there's so many interests involved in tattooing right now, and interested in tattooing and like trying to like make it into something it's maybe not, bring regulations so that then they're the only ones that, you know, can qualify under the FDA rules. And that's my biggest worry. So I always want to make sure that like wherever people are getting things from, it's going to the right people, the people who have tattooing's best interest, you know. So luckily there's a few tattooers that make pens. It's not, you know, it's not completely
So my daily driver coil liner is a Scott Sterling, which is like absolute beast. I love that machine. I want to buy more.
Right? Seriously. That's one of my on the list. I gotta get a Scott for sure.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean that guy's tattoos, my God. I've stolen so many of his roses. It's like I've borrowed a lot of his art, man. I owe him at least a machine, probably a couple of tats too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But as far as supplies, I mean, it's tough because I don't think there's not like one needle that's made in the U.S.
No, they're too expensive to make in the U.S.
I've searched some glove manufacturers in the U.S. There are some, but it's really expensive. Yeah, so it's tough.
Quadruple,
pretty much.
At
triple.
least. Yeah.
So it's kind of tough. So we're kind of stuck with a
lot of stuff is going to originate from China. To me, it's a matter of who's getting it from China and bringing it here. Is it just an investment corporation, or is it a tattooer who is at least gone to China or is dealing with China and then bringing it to the market, you know, testing it, knowing, hey, it's made in China. But yeah, I mean, because, you know, Black Claw, right? You know, they're made in China. You know, but Grimes behind it, you know, like I feel good about him getting my money over, say, Joe Schmo on Amazon, who's just, you know, sunrise, blah, 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 happy tattoo needle, you know. I feel like one of those versus the other, it's not even a choice, you know. So we are stuck right now, unfortunately. Things are just absolutely, I mean, resources are closer to them in some cases, even if we could deregulate, you know, get the EPA completely out of it, you know, it would still be more expensive to do here than it would in China. And it's not even a labor thing. It's honestly, they're just closer to some of the natural resources, you know, and or they have the infrastructure already in place.
Yeah.
So
And we can't pass that to clients.
No, not right now. I mean, even 50 years ago, you would have had a hard time. Oh, our tattoos are double. It's $10 instead of $5. You know, people fell. Oh, it's 3 weeks. You know, work. You know, or whatever it was. You know, we're kind of stuck in a point where we have to work as efficiently as possible while still providing a high quality outcome.
Yeah.
You know, so you need the best stuff you can get your hands on, but you know, unfortunately, remember when cartridges first came out? Oh, just charge an extra $5. Now there's this thing and there's that thing. They've added like 50 things. You got to just add another $5. Add another $5. Add another $5.
That's another reason why I hate using the pens, because those are so expensive.
It adds up quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, kids don't understand. We used to use reuse needle bars. We'd tattoo. We didn't reuse the needles. You know, we'd re-sterilize them, which is super fun, using a big old tin full of just needles have been like full of shit. You're scrubbing them out real quick, you throw them in the autoclave, and then you break just the needle off, which is sharps containers were never an issue when I was coming up and tattooing. It'd last forever. Just a little itty bitty piece of needle in there. Oh, God, a big one would last you 5 years. You know, now that plastic things fill up in 10 weeks, you're like, holy shit, I just gave you one. Oh, God, it's full again. You know, those cartridges, they pack up quick.
Yeah.
So, it's, and that's the other thing, too. You know, I feel like a lot of people, this younger generation cares about the climate and the environment. And I'm like, well, if you want to pollute less, use a coil. You can, get in a shop that has an autoclave so you can reuse metal tubes, way less waste, way better for the environment.
Way better better to tattoo with.
Yep, unless you're doing really light colors, in which case, you got to dip a lot, or you're going to get gray instead of white, or you're going to get kind of, dull yellow instead of bright yellow, but whatever. Some of those colors really don't belong in tattooing anyway. It's long term, let's be honest. I mean, I don't know, the bright ass yellows you have that look bright yellow.
It's almost skin tone now.
Exactly. Yeah, and, if you're worried about ever having to get rid of it, the laser has the hardest time with white and yellow anyways. Those are the two that it cannot really differentiate from your skin tone. So luckily they're easy to cover. You can zap all the rest of the tattoo out and then just blast over it. But honestly, the most earth-friendly, reduce, reuse, recycle is old school tattooing. I mean, it's as funny as it seems. They weren't using a whole lot of barriers. They were just cleaning everything afterwards. It was minimal plastic.
A bucket.
That's a little too far. Yeah, that's all day. Yeah.
I'm glad we're not in those times.
Yeah, no, for sure. But 20 years ago when I started, tattooing was a lot less destructive to the environment than it is now. And it's convenience and it's better. And I'm like, is it though? Like, because like you said, we brought China in, China's child labor. China doesn't give a shit about the environment. There's a lot of things that have changed, not necessarily for the better, although the quality of the overall tattoos that come out now are better. So yeah, I mean, what do you do, right?
Tattooing acetates is hard as fuck. So
I still absolutely love it. Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. Anybody wants to get an acetate tattoo, Spiky Captain Tattoo, look me up. I got
some too, so I got a good collection.
Hell yeah! What's your jewel? What's your best one?
I have one from Good Time Charlie from the 1970s.
Fuck yeah!
And then I just bought a Mike Malone unicorn.
Oh. I don't know Malone yet. Yeah. That's on the list.
Yeah. So,
my best is I got a Sailor Jerry.
I have a Sailor Jerry somewhere. I have to find it. It's
I have one from one of the 3 books. It's a hula girl on the beach with Diamond Head in the background, which I bought in Hawaii, which is pretty cool, from Shanghai. Cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I've actually tattooed off of it too. Yeah, my buddy Weichel, who we did our second interview with, he got it on his leg. It was it's a little sketchy, but it's fun. If you really want to truly understand tattooing, I feel like there's a lot of things you got to do. You should get tattooed all the different ways. I feel like you should get a tabori, you should get a tatau, you should do machines, you should get tattooed with a rotary, maybe even an old school kind of prison one just once, fun times. But then you should also do it all the different ways. You should use all the tools, and you should also use an acetate. And it's fun. Because then you're looking
tattoo with a rose thorn, bring it back.
You could, yeah. I did. I made a little tabori stick the other day and worked on a good client of mine, and yeah. That's cool. I realized it's the needles have to be you can't just grab a mag and throw it on a stick and pretend. Yeah. It healed good though. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was cool to try. Definitely, you realize how much stronger those guys are. Their hands, talk about coils making your hands like, oh, my hands hurt. I'm like, dude, grab a stick, put a needle on it, and try to push that shit into somebody's skin. Like, your hand will be very sore very fast. Like, you will realize how weak you really are as a tattooer. But it's good. I feel like those kind of experiences are important, I mean, I feel like just truly understanding. It's like an artist. An artist, if you're an oil painter, you understand all the different oils, all the different mediums you can use to make oil do different things. You understand birch versus canvas versus linen versus squirrel brush versus hog hair. Those are all factors that go into becoming a complete artist, a master.
Yeah.
I feel like a master tattooer should know all those things too. You should know how to make a needle. You should know how to repair or make a clip cord. I mean, obviously it's not functional knowledge anymore. You just snap your fingers and Amazon delivers one to your door. But, I mean, what happens if all of a sudden a clip cord costs $1,000 because, they overregulate everything, right? I was talking to a guy who I hope to have on the show soon, and he came from Sweden, and he talked about all the regulations and different things. It wasn't just blue and green ink. He said there is so much more to it that happened over there. You have to, keep 20 or 30 pages of paperwork per person you tattoo.
What the fuck? Yeah.
So they get down to what type of plastic bottle does the ink come in? You have to make a note of that. You have to how now the health department wants you to have certificates from China that say it's been sterilized. Oh, plastic needs to be sterilized. Okay, cool. Because plastics ever gave somebody an infection, right? Or needles. Oh, your needles have to be sterilized properly. But,
nothing's really sterilized.
Well, and that's what he was explaining. He said they just get a pallet. It's already wrapped for shipping. They throw it in a thing and they just gas the shit out of it. And it's sterilized. Okay, that's interesting. He brought up some child labor issues. He was talking about a bunch of different stuff. But yeah, he said they're getting down to the point where every single part of it, including the plastic of the bottle, has to be noted on the paperwork and this and that. And he was talking about how an ounce of ink over there is close to $400 now, the legal compliance stuff. Yeah. It wasn't just a joke when people over here were making those Revlon's going to own everything and it's going to be hundreds of dollars an ounce. And it's yeah. So it's because of just the regulations, over-regulation. So yeah, we got to be careful about that, I suppose. Because who wants that is the big corporations. Which now there's one that owns everything. It's not Team A and Team B. It used to be Nexus versus, I forgot, the Body Art Alliance or whatever they call themselves, some little organization. It was East Coast versus West Coast, basically. It was gangs of the 90s, it's a hip-hop war. But some company came and bought all of it now. $3 billion, I heard, or some shit like that is basically.
How much is it? Well, our tattoo industry is an industry now. How much is it worth? It's billions now, right?
Oh, yeah. 10 years ago, Forbes had a thing, and I remember joking around with everybody. I was like, oh, here comes Nike. You're going to be yeah, dude, you're going to be tattooing in the commercial and turn around and just do it. I was like, here comes McDonald's, and obviously those companies didn't come along, but, companies like that got interested for sure, like a Nexus Corporation that bought everything up.
I'm gonna tattoo a Nike swoosh on my face if you guys want to sponsor me.
Dude, right? Yeah, I mean, that's... Bukowski said it best. Tattoo artists sell out first and for the least. He was not wrong. Tattooers especially. All this whole, I want to be sponsored so bad. And it's they give you your tax write-off as a percentage. They call it, you're getting it at wholesale. Trust me, I get wholesale. It's not what they're offering you. Yogi Berra is right when he says you're getting your tax discount stolen by them. It's your write-off. That's how much you'd be able to write off. And then you'd also be able to claim more money so you could be more of an adult. If you needed to buy a house or a car or, a major decision in life, you can make that. But, you're oh, I make no money and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sponsored. And cool story, bro.
Yeah, I got no sponsors. So.
Yeah, well, yourself. That's
right.
The best sponsor in the world, man. Nobody's going to take better care of you than you, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So... yeah, tattooing is interesting. It's gone through a lot of phases. The sponsorship thing, I feel it's starting to kind of die out. Pro teams are still a thing, but gosh, that word. I even hate that word, pro team. It's industry, right? It's one of those things that just sucks to say as a tattooer. But I feel like that's kind of receding a bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still out there, but these mega booths just don't seem to get the attention they used to. Because those people are kind of the tattooers of 20 years ago.
Well, people aren't going to conventions to really see tattooers anymore.
Yeah,
From the
true.
last couple that I've been to out here in California, at least.
California scene does kind of blow a little bit too. The smaller shows here do better, but the Golden States, no offense, Golden State, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm gonna be working the mag booth, but it's just not special anymore. I mean, if you go back, Gilmonty, Tattoo Mania, he had, the show at the Palladium.
Yeah.
That was it. Inkslingers Ball.
I've been to that.
Right?
I didn't tattoo there, but that was before I was tattooing.
Still cool you got to go.
Super cool.
I used to hear about it all the time. My mentors, oh man, Inkslingers, that's the show. I'm like, well, let's go. He's like, oh. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
But dude, that was it. Like, I mean, people would travel from all over the world to go to that.
Ink and Iron was pretty sick in its heyday too. So
absolutely.
That was the first tattoo convention I tattooed at. So like about a year into tattooing.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
I missed that one as well. I was supposed to get a booth and it was given to somebody else to shop instead of me, which was a real bummer. But it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But those shows were special. I mean, like you talk to people about those and they really have fond memories.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's so many shows every week, everywhere. It's just it's like McDonald's. It's not special. It's not like, oh, let's go to In-N-Out. We got to drive halfway across California to get to the In-N-Out. Now there's one on every corner. Yeah. It's kind of less special. Mm-hmm. The quality has kind of also suffered because of that as well. You get a lot of these shows and these promoters are, 200 tattooers. It's like, you're not going to get 200 amazing tattooers all in one room. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to get some, if they were on Ink Master, they'd be the first one off, the first cut. Rightly so, that show had those people. It needed those people. You couldn't just get, Philip Liu versus, Dave Cruzman versus Oliver Peck versus, that show would never work because, like, how do you fucking pick, You needed a B-Tat or, these fucking silly named people, and conventions are no different, There used to be such a small group of people that you could bring a group like that together and it was amazing. Mm-hmm. But now those people already know better. They don't want to go. They don't need to go to conventions to get exposure anymore. So getting 200 tattooers that are of really amazing quality is near impossible. Yeah. It's doable, but those shows become tattooer shows. That's where me and you go, I want to go pick up prints and buy a machine and get a tattoo.
Maybe get a tattoo,
from somebody from Switzerland that never comes to America except for now. So those shows still exist, but it's just, that same weekend there's 3 other shows between Arizona, Oregon, and Southern California or Northern California. So it's just not special anymore, So you get lower quality tattooers, which then in case attracts even less people. And honestly, I mean, like LA, if you had a show in LA, why would anyone go? There's 1,000 tattoo shops in LA and everybody's already got their favorite. They already think their tattoo artist is the best. In some cases, they're not wrong because, LA still does have an extremely high level of good tattooing. Why go to a show? And even if you go, what are you going to do? You're not going to get tattooed. You might go to just walk around and be like cool and show off your tats, You got your shirt off. Like, sup, dude? Yeah, I'm tatted by Jack Rudy and so-and-so. And yeah, fuck you, You're not there to get tattooed. You're there to have a beer that costs like $25 and eat a hot dog that costs 10 and,
I got tattooed at a convention, actually Golden State, so.
Fuck yeah.
My old boss, so.
Hell yeah. It still exists, but it's just less special.
Yeah.
There used to be one a year in your neighborhood if you were really lucky. Mm-hmm. I mean, I came up in the Midwest and there was like one show and it was a dumpy ass little show, but people loved it because there wasn't fuck all else to do.
Well, you have to do the mega shows like Ink and Iron or what was the one in Costa Mesa?
Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have the bands. The bands draw the attention, but then, then you're at like $100 just to get through the door. So.
Exactly. And they're just there to see no effects.
Yeah.
Like, good luck. I mean, maybe if you had no effects tattoos on sale, you might grab a couple, but but then you're also fighting 3 rooms of people, and if you're in that 3rd room, no one even knows you're there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the problem with mega shows. Honestly, my favorite California shows are small. Mm-hmm. The biggest one that I really enjoy is Fresno. But Fresno's been going on for 22 years, 23 years now, almost, something like that. So it's extremely established that community looks forward to it. Yeah. It's a thing. It's not some fly-by-night production that just showed up. Hey, we're the new LA Tattoo Convention. Yeah, we're bringing the Ink Masters, and we're going to have sullen angels with their tits out. And like, you know, they're doing all these things. There's gimmicks. There's no gimmicks at that show.
Yeah, I want to do Fresno one of these days. So.
You gotta go, man. That show bangs.
Yeah, I'd like to.
It's so fucking good. And now they're moving into a casino. Hell yeah, Chris. Hell yeah, Jason. I'm so stoked. No more fucking health department bullshit, $100 fees. Like, yeah. It's going to Table Mountain Casino, the one on the way up to Yosemite.
Okay.
Yeah, as you're heading up, it's just take a right turn and beautiful. So it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. But those shows are the good shows. You know, they're established. You know, the community looks forward to them, and they do things for the community. You know, I mean, they support the community in a way. You know, these fly-by-night, these ginormous organizations that are kind of like the McDonald's of conventions. There's 5 every weekend that they put on. It's like they don't care about the quality. They don't care about the community. They just, you know, come swoop up just take the vacuum cleaner to the money and off to the next town, you know? It's like a bad version of Barnum and Bailey's Circus, you know? And it's just not special. I mean, I tell people, if you want to go to conventions, you got to go to the Midwest. You got to go down south. You got to go places where there isn't 100 tattooers per 100,000 people. You know, because then it's special. And then also you bring something from an area that's seen as like being cool in tattoo, like Cali style, you know, oh man, you got the Cali lettering, or you do the Chicano black and gray, or American traditional has a very, very distinct look here. Even the Japanese tattooing that comes out of California looks way different than Minnesota. They're still doing the dick koi fish from Cherry Creek, dude, the penis-headed looking ones that are just fucking god-awful. That still passes it as an amazing tattoo in parts of Minnesota and Montana and Iowa and, like, you know.
I love me some Cherry Creek though. So.
I do too. I've said it multiple times, even on this this show, that I owe them dinner, at least a couple. Yeah, my career was built on the backs of them and Kaplan and original tattoo brand Flash, and you know, it's what we came up tattooing for sure. It made me the tattooer I am today. So. Absolutely. Nothing against them, but yeah, that's what passes, you know. There's no, that's why when artists move there, they blow up. You know, people out here that complain, oh, tattooing out here sucks. I'm like, move to Montana, bro. Move to Idaho, move to Utah, move to places where you'd be not dime a dozen. You're going to be valued for how good you are. Here, you're just another one of the amazing tattooers. You know, I talk about out here, like people who work out of their house that we all make fun of would be books closed in 2 months in the Midwest. In most places, down south, Alabama, oh, you'd be the best tattooer in the whole fucking state almost, you know? Like, but out here, you're just a house scratcher to us. We're like, that guy's work sucks. Yeah, I'll fix it for you. You know, but somewhere else, you'd be ginormous. You know, you'd be so busy you wouldn't know what to do. But, you know, our problem is we're just surrounded. I mean, look at our town alone. You know, look at the level of tattooing.
Yeah.
It's fucking unreal. These shops all would, in towns in the Midwest, would be, people wouldn't even know what to do with themselves. They'd be like, oh, the Ink Masters moved to town. Oh my God. I can't afford them, but man, I can't wait to get tattooed. I got a down payment plan, you know? Like, people lose their mind. Out here, we're just like, oh yeah, it's them. They're down the street. Fuck those guys, you know? Like, come here. We're better. We're nicer. We smell better, you know? Whatever marketing gimmick you want to come up with to try and, you know, incentivize someone to use you over the awesome person down the street, you know, like shows are the same thing, you know, like why, you know, if there was a show in Temecula, why would anyone from Temecula go? You know, you've got Ink Master, you've got your guys' shop, there's Old Rose, there's us, there's so many good I mean, maybe
we just need to all come together like, you know, like a Power Rangers and make a banger show.
Well, I think the small shows, the kind of invite only, the 30 to maybe 100 artists at most, you know, those are the shows that do really well. Like I love Fresno. Chris puts on a show called Feather Falls. It's at a casino.
Yeah, I want to do that one too.
Amazing show. Super small. Been doing it for a long time now. The community fucking loves it. And there's nothing else to do in Oroville. There ain't, I mean, it's fishing and going out. You know, if you're an outdoorsy person, it's beautiful up there. Pretty methy, but you know, I mean, fucking what isn't in California these days? But yeah, like that show bangs. We do this little show in Imperial called Desert Sunset. Same thing, tiny. I mean, you could fit every tattooer in there in our shop. Amazing little show, super good. Dudes come up from Mexico. Holy fuck, dude! People in Mexico are killing tattooing. They're just not getting the exposure. If they were up here in LA, good luck. They'd be Dr. Wu level, They'd be killing it. And they're just down there grinding, It's unreal. Walk Up Weekend, first show we ever did. Jake's event was great. Amazing. You could just go in there blindfolded and just be like, I hear a tattoo machine, tattoo me, and you'd get a good one. Like, everybody there was a ripper, dude. Certified, amazing tattooer.
Yeah, I think he's planning on doing it again or something similar. So.
I've heard. Okay. We're quite excited. We're definitely hoping to have him on here soon and talk about that among many other things. But these mega shows are just, I mean, I get it. They're cool to go hang out. And that's what people do. People don't go to get tattooed. You've got to really convince them, hey, I'm the person. You should get this cool skull. You should get this whatever. Because they're just there for the scenesterism. They're there to see the angels. They're there to see the cars. They're there to watch some chick hang from her fucking knees upside down with a sword in her mouth. Which... those were fun. Those are fun aspects of tattoo culture, the carny culture. That's, a huge part of where tattooing spread through America and was first really popularized other than the military. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like small shows, Midwest, little town shows, places where there's nothing going on. There's maybe a couple of tattoo shops, that's where to go. And I feel like it needs to get back to that. I feel like that's another thing about tattooing that's kind of changing again. A lot of these shows that just didn't care. It was just about the money. It was just about packing as many people. There's one organization, which I won't name, but they're still out there. But, they're it. They're so big, I don't think they can fail at this point, But the rest of them, anybody who wants to start a tattoo show, man, you better give a shit about tattooing. If you're not a tattooer, if you're just some guy from the outside, I'm going to make money. Sure. You might, but, it ain't going to last long. It's a real quick, short well. It dries up real quick, But if you care about tattooing and you bring the right people and you bring it to a place and, and that's the other thing, too, they provide nothing. These big organizations, show up, you got a chair, you're lucky. Yeah, that's some crappy folding chair from some rental company. Oh, yeah, it's, I feel like you need to give a crap.
That's the fun stuff about conventions, though. Sitting on the floor.
Overcoming the challenges, yeah. No, it is, absolutely. I agree. That is nuts to butts. It's hot as balls. It's noisy as fuck. It's a difficult environment for sure. It's a high level environment to work in. These kids with their headphones and they're, got to turn the music down. Tattoo convention's not the right scene for you, Or make one, make a ferns and flowers tattoo convention.
Yeah, I remember having to, their printer was down. I had to make a photocopy off of my phone and make a stencil from that, a hand stenciled, a quarter of a back piece.
Sick.
Yeah.
You have the skills.
Yeah.
You didn't freak out. You were like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah. Clipcord breaks. I know how to fix it.
Yep, exactly.
So, it's fun.
Important skills. Hell yeah. Well, one thing I did want to touch on is you did make a post or story. I don't remember which it was, but you are now 14 years sober.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's a pretty amazing feat. I don't know how much you want to or don't want to talk about it. It's totally up to you, but I feel like it's a big deal. Let's just be honest. 14 years of anything, tattooing, sobriety, being a stock trader, it's a hard road. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of different things. Is there anything about that journey that you want to share that you feel like people could benefit from or learn from? How did you do it? Obviously you realized you had an issue.
Yeah. I have had a lot of fun, and I think the time in my life, there's things that I wanted in my life, like a solid relationship and, other things that I needed that I was like, okay, I need to change something in my life, and, drinking and doing lots of blow, just wasn't working for me anymore. And, just got to that point. And, luckily I had some women in my life that pointed me in the right direction and, started to go into meetings. And actually it was at a meeting that I met one of my, really good friends who I look up to, who's a really awesome tattoo artist. And so that kind of kept me there. And, I was afraid to run into people that I knew, then I went to some meetings and found some people that I knew, and it was pretty awesome. And, it's kind of parallels to, tattooing. It's less, some days are hard, but it gets easier. And you just, got to do things one day at a time. And, like tattooing, there's times where I wanted to quit, but you just got to keep on going. So,
right.
And that's everything in life, sobriety, tattooing, whatever you want to achieve. That it's just, things take time, like you want to, start into tattooing and you want to have all these big projects and all this stuff, and you want to have success right away. But really, I think if you got it right away, you wouldn't be able to handle it. So
child stars, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't go well.
Yeah.
Doesn't end well.
Just enjoying the journey and everything you do. And, I think just trying to be better, trying to be a better tattoo artist, trying to be a better human, like just trying to and help people along the way. I think that's like that's the key right there. So
right.
That's pretty much it. So.
Okay. Well, and people don't understand because tattooing is a little different now, but 15 years ago, 25 years ago when I started, 26, I think now, so 2 years of apprenticeship, but it was a completely different world. The party every day, all day, show up drunk, be drunk all day. That was still pretty common.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, would you want to go to your dentist if he was out partying all day? So.
Right. Let me just go to this bump in the back room real quick, kid. I'll come back and then we'll, right? Yeah. So. It was very less professional than it is now, for sure. But it's an environment that encourages those kind of things. It encourages hedonism in a way. And self-destructiveness. I mean, creatives have always kind of been attracted to, that lifestyle. I feel like whether it's painters, artists, musicians, it's a lifestyle of excess and ego, and you're just surrounded by it every day. So it's hard not to fall into it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It encourages it.
Yeah. It's tough, but I mean, I think, there's a lot of sober tattooers out there now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just people in general, that, I don't know. And, like you said, it's more professional. We tattoo professionals on the daily. So, I think it's important to bring that to the table, for sure.
Yeah. The days of showing up an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours late. Hey, what's that? That's over. Yeah. No one puts up with that crap.
Nobody puts up with that. They'll just go to whoever down the street. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on. 14 years.
Yeah.
So that's almost as long as you've been tattooing.
Pretty
that's
much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Most of your career.
Most of my career. So, and I'm happy for that. I'm glad for that. So I think.
Well, you definitely remember your career.
I remember it. Yeah.
People come in. You remember doing this? You're like, yeah, actually, I do. Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that. That's
I'm grateful for that. I'm super grateful for that, because if I had been tattooing, during that time, it would be probably a different story. So
for sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. People don't understand little things can, just a little deviation in course over a 15-year period of time can lead to you're not in the same place anymore. You're not even, you look back and it's unrecognizable where you are compared to where you started. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And it was easy. I mean, I feel like it was easy for me because I think a lot of the drinking and all that stuff was because I wasn't on the right path or following the path I was supposed to be, trying to fit into other molds and trying to do what other people wanted me to do. So that was,
that's huge. Yeah.
I think, a lot of us tattooers that we don't fit into the mold or into society.
Or a bunch of misfits for sure.
Misfits, outlaws, pirates. So
weirdos.
Weirdos.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I always like when the real old timers push back on the pirate thing. They're like, we weren't cool like pirates. We were a bunch of fucking weirdos and losers, you know? Like, no one was like, oh, you're a tattooer. That's cool. It was just like, oh, you're fucking what? Like, you know? It was more of an thing than it was like, oh, cool, you're edgy, you know? Like, for sure. So, but it attracts all types. It's a great landing space. I've always felt like the only defining thing is, are you good or not? If you're good, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Gay, straight, doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter who you pray to. None of that matters. Like, tattooing's always kind of just adopted whoever into the fold. If you cared about tattooing and you were good at it, like you're part of the club. You know, Cliff Raven. I mean, it just goes back. There's so many different people in history that, you know, made their way. Granted, it was a little tougher. It was a little more boys club for sure than it is now. You know, I don't know how it was for you 15 years ago. If there's anything about that experience you want to talk about, if there was any,
I mean, I'm
sure it was harder.
I feel like, you know, there was a lot more women in the industry at that time. So, I mean, some of the women I've worked with who have been tattooing longer than I have didn't have that same experience. You know, they told me some stories, you know, that were like
horrific,
pretty bad, you know, but luckily that wasn't the case for me. Like I feel like I've always been respected as like a, you know, an equal. And, you know, even at the first shop I worked at, I think we had like 3 women tattooing there at one point, which was, I mean, I liked it. I don't know.
I mean,
liked it. I mean, we have 7 women at our shop right now. So two piercers, 5 tattooers, I believe. So it's pretty awesome. So I still get the, is that all you do? Or, are you an artist here? Like, oh no, I just make the sandwiches, you know.
You're right. Yeah. It's just the corners and look cute. I wear the outfit.
Yeah. So it still exists, but I think it's definitely I think, you know,
it's changed so
much.
Yeah. And luckily we had those women that went through those horrific things to pave a little.
Pat Sinatra, like she was like tattooing in New York before it was legal.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo from her somewhere.
Hell yeah.
It was on the arrowhead she did at a tattoo land.
Oh, beautiful. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Super nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, I talk about that too, illegal, right? You know, I was talking with a client the other day who had no clue that like tattoos were illegal in certain places. I was like, New York was illegal from what, the 50s to the 90s, 96?
Yeah, crazy.
And then when I just started, 2002, I think it was early 2000s, Oklahoma finally legalized that. They were the last state to say, okay, finally.
Okay, fine.
Right, yeah, Bible Belt, you know, for sure, yeah. But yeah, I remember that blew my mind at the time. I was like, tattoos are illegal places? Like, it's, you know, Midwest, you know, we don't back then information was even harder to get a hold of, no internet, no nothing. So that kind of blew my mind. I think it was a Pain magazine and it was like this big thing, like Oklahoma finally legalizes tattooing. I was like, what? Like, really? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Yeah,
you know, the oldest thing that we all have in common, you know, the oldest humans they find are covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah. To think they were illegal at one point, you know?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. Well, it really is. Yeah. Times are changing. It's good. It's definitely good. I feel like we've touched on quite a few things.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Do you have any shout outs or any fuck yous or any fun stuff?
The people that I'd say fuck you to already probably know who you are. So.
Yeah, so fuck you. But any shout outs you want to give out to anybody?
Yeah, I don't know. The people I work with, love them. They're super awesome, super talented. So, you know, come get tattooed by them or get tattooed by me.
Yeah.
I don't know who else. Man, so many people in my journey. Just grateful for. I mean, I think the people in my life know who they are, and grateful for tattooing, and you know, I just want to do some sick tats. So hit me up.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into how to do that here in a second. One last thing. Crazy stories. Tattoo shops and tattooers are full of fun stuff. You got a favorite?
Dude. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories.
It doesn't have to be yours. It could be one you heard from somebody. Part of this is getting like who learned from who, where everybody's from, blah, 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 kind of stuff. But also preserving just the fun, even if it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Stories of tattooing are the best. God damn, they're fun. There's some good ones.
Well, not a funny story, but a really cool story.
That works too.
I used to do Salt Lake City Tattoo Convention quite a bit.
Okay.
And,
it's a great show.
I was, this is when I lived in Long Beach, and on the same flight with Jack Rudy. And when we landed, he was like, "Oh, let me give you a ride home." So him and his wife gave me a ride home, which was pretty cool. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. Man, I heard a lot of crazy convention stories. Nothing, well, I guess it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was another Salt Lake convention, and they had like the tattooer pre-party. I don't know what game they were playing, if it was like left, right, center or some dice game. But anyway, I like jumped in on it, threw $20 in. And when it was my turn to roll the dice, I like rolled a 666 and apparently won the whole pot. So I took the whole pot.
Nice.
And I was like, "Thanks, guys. See you later."
Hell yeah.
But I did get the dice tattooed on me. So
okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's cool. Yeah, shows like that are fun. Feather Falls occasionally has a high stakes dice game afterwards. Elm Fest, which just happened, and yeah, that's a silly amount of money at the end of that one. Yeah. Heard some fun stories. But no, that's cool. I like when everybody gets together. I mean, that's part of what's missing from shows nowadays too.
Yeah.
Funny story. I'll give you one. 2013, I'm out in Ventura and kicking it with Lyle. Lyle was, still going fucking hard in the paint back then, double fisting, hitting on everything that moved. Anywho, he's, you want to know something funny, kid? What's wrong with tattooing these days? All right, what's that, Lyle? He goes, these fucking kids nowadays, they'd get on an elevator with some chick just aching for it, and they'd be like, I gotta go back to my hotel and draw all night, for my appointment tomorrow. That's what's fucking wrong with tattooing. Crazy guy, but
Lyle's pretty cool.
He was a lot of fun. He had some funny shit. He told me some pretty good, fun stories over the years. I met him first in Hawaii, 2012, and then again in 2013, and yeah.
Yeah, I met him. I did his convention in St. Louis, and that's the first time I met him. But
okay.
He's
How was that show?
That was pretty cool. It was pretty neat.
Okay.
It was fun. Like St. Louis is a cool little town.
Yeah, it's real working class for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from the east side.
Yeah.
Ghetto as fuck. Yeah. But
yeah, I know my friend Sharon was really close to Lyle, so
okay.
I've got to spend some time with Lyle, which is cool. Actually, they called me one time, so my caller ID said Lyle Tuttle, which was pretty awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Shit my pants.
Right? You're like, whoa. Yeah.
But I've got some cool memorabilia from him, so
okay.
she's passed on to me, which is pretty cool. So
that's rad. I got a couple of business cards and a few fun stories.
Yeah.
And I got a signature. Probably one of the more legible ones. Yeah. It's not Lyle Tattle or any of that fun stuff. Yeah. He was a character.
He was epic. He was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's funny how a lot of people don't understand, like, he was a Marine first. That's kind of how he got introduced. He shipped out of San Francisco while he was down there getting ready to go to Korea and come back. He saw tattooing and went, this. And
he was pushing his little cart one time, and a bottle of vodka rolled across the convention floor.
Oh yeah, him and vodka. Yeah, he drank a lot. My buddy Julius said the last time he ran into him, he was like, "Hey kid, you know where there's any good whorehouses around here?" And he's like, "No, I actually don't." He was kind of blown away. He was still going hard in his 70s, looking for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did meth like every day, just a little bit. So,
yeah. Well, I've talked to some people, and they basically said when you've done it that long, if you stop, you die. It's kind of like work, right? Like, people retire, they stop working, they just die. You know, a year later, you know, oh, they're sick, they're dead. Oh, Bob passed away. He retired last year, you know, stopped doing anything. I think once your body operates on a level of something, I think you kind of almost have to maintain it, even if it is something that's, you know, not so good for you. You know, alcohol, right? You quit just cold turkey if you're at a certain level, it fucking kills you, you know, like. Totally. Yeah. I think he definitely operated on a bit of that, quite a bit of blow, and definitely a fuck ton of alcohol. He smelled like a bar every time I ran into him, and he always still somehow had his wits about him.
Yeah.
Had a funny story or 12 and an insight and a challenge. Tattoo on all 7 continents, kid. I've done it. Yeah, he went to Antarctica and did a tattoo.
Damn, that's sick.
Did it real quick and then got back on the boat and was like, fuck this, get out of here. But yeah, he wanted to start a club of people have tattooed on all 7 continents. So I was like, that's a pretty clever idea. Too bad you started so late, but yeah.
That's sick.
New challenge.
Yeah, new challenge.
Yeah, talk about a side quest.
Hell yeah.
As the kids would say.
I'm down. Yeah.
I don't know about Antarctica, man. There's only a couple ways to get there, and they all seem a little sketchy. Well, fucking shitty plane or a boat. Those seas are rough, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
catch the wrong storm.
Fly over in a plane, a tattoo in the plane. I wonder if that counts.
You're right. Yeah, well, that's the new thing, right? All the kids are doing with pens and mountaintops and planes and well. Crazy stuff. I mean, tattooing was always kind of done, you know, strange places, long time ago, you know, just make a tape motor into a machine and tattoo your homies in the basement or wherever.
Hell yeah.
It's
I've
kind of
tattooed
funny.
in some strange places.
Hell yeah. What's the strangest place you've ever tattooed in? That's a good one.
Well, I mean, behind like a bar. I mean, I tattooed behind a bar before.
Okay.
In a tent, it was a nice tent. I've tattooed in a tent. I mean,
I bet Coachella would go hard.
Yeah, I've tattooed on a blanket, like camping before.
Nice.
So
Okay.
actually that one, I tattooed a few of my friends, and then my friend did that one. I was like, well, somebody's got to do mine.
Right.
She's like, I've been drinking. I'm like, it's perfect then.
Yeah. You got a Milo. Hell
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
one of the ways people get into tattooing, right? Skateboard culture or music culture or like street culture, kind of, you know, whether it's bikes or gangs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I feel like those were the old doorways. Now it's like, oh, my kid draws well. It should be a tattooer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's changed a bit, but yeah. Anywho,
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Hell yeah.
weirdest place you tattoo. It's a nice new question I can start asking
Cool.
people. Yeah. Well, it's a possibility now.
I mean, you could have a few different answers. But
Yeah. There'll be some good ones. I know I got some friends that have tattooed on planes.
Yeah.
Over the
That's
Pacific
cool.
Ocean and a little rotary, you know, it's pretty easy now.
Mm-hmm.
Now kids are doing it in classrooms. I don't know if you saw that story.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that teacher. Jesus, dude. What were you doing? Not paying attention for sure.
Well, I mean, I guess we were doing like acid in classrooms.
We were doing, we got away with some stuff for sure. But, you know, straight up like the 15th person getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we couldn't have got away with that, you know. We had to do stick and pokes in school. With sewing needle and thread. That was, the 1 or 2 kids that got tatted in school. That's how they did it. Art class, using God knows what kind of ink. And good times. Anywho, all right. Well, if someone does want to get tattooed by you, how do they get a hold of you? And,
you can find me on the Instagram. It's at Candeo, Candeeo. There's a intake form there. You can DM me, whatever. I'm pretty open to however you contact me.
Cool.
And that's it. Or just walk on in.
Yeah.
I'm usually there like Wednesday through Saturday. So if I have
Perfect.
time, I'm down to do some flash or whatever. I got some new stickers that say Candeo tattooed my butt. So
all right.
if you're in the market for a butt tat, come get one and get a sticker.
Yeah, those are coming back. When I
Yeah.
first started my career, I tattooed a ton of butts.
Yeah.
Butts and boobs and
Hell yeah.
ankles and then lower hip.
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to come back a little bit. It's cool. I like it. They were never bad tattoo ideas.
No,
you know,
no.
you could hide it from your parents, and it was kind of perfect.
Totally.
Yeah, killer. Shop, they can call too. You guys got a phone or no?
We got a phone. Yeah.
Awesome. Ring the phone. Stop in. get a cool tat. You also have a book that you sell, right? A flash
I do
book
have
if
a
you're
book,
a tattooer.
flash
and-
book. You can find it on the Amazon. You can search my name and it should pop up. It's like a book of classic traditional tattoo designs with the line work. So
Yeah.
all you got to do is make a photocopy.
Not fuck it up.
Yeah, not fuck it up.
Not fuck it up. Paint my number.
And it's really like, want to reach it's for everybody, but for the younger tattooers.
Yeah, I got a copy. It's a great book. I love it.
Yeah, hit me up if you have any questions. So
we'll definitely put a link to it in the description.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Well, one last thing I got to bring up. This video is brought to you by Working Class Tattoo Supply. We care about tattooing. We care about tattooers. We used to stop by all the time, door to door, and try to bring good supplies with the knowledge of how to use them and where they come from and why this one's better than that one or whatever. But Working Class Tattoo Supply definitely sponsors all these videos. And we're building a new website right now, guys. It'll be up soon. Check it out. It's going to be about as user-friendly as a tattoo supply site can be, because they're not all designed the same. And hopefully you check us out there and come back for the next interview. And if anybody has any suggestions, definitely drop a comment. And we'll see you on the next one.